All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. We're about 3 weeks away from the start of the 2023 NFL Draft, and the Seattle Seahawks have a golden opportunity to come out of this thing smelling like a rose. Due to the Russell Wilson trade from last year, the Seahawks currently own four of the first 52 picks in this year's draft, with a pair of first round picks as well as a pair of second rounders. Overall, Seattle is in possession of 10 picks heading into this draft. Now, so far this offseason, the Seahawks re signed quarterback Geno Smith to a 3 year deal, while they also brought veteran middle linebacker Bobby Wagner back to the Pacific Northwest after spending a year with the Los Angeles Rams. Seattle also signed veteran defensive players such as safety Julian Love and linebacker Devin Bush. But even with all of that, I still think, in my opinion, defense could be a top priority of the Seahawks at this current draft. And I say that because Seattle was 26th in the NFL in yards allowed last season. They've got to get better on defense. We saw Seattle make the postseason as a wild card, but they, obviously they still have room for improvement. And if they really want to go out there and win the NFC West next season, they got to find a way to slay the dragon. And I'm talking about the San Francisco 49ers, a team that beat Seattle three times last season. Now, of course, one question would be, would Seahawks general manager John Schneider and head coach Pete Carroll be tempted to trade that fifth overall selection that they got from Denver? In my opinion, I doubt it. The only way that I would see Seattle making a move there is if they got an offer that was too good to pass up on, and in that case, that offer would have to be a team that is desperate to move up in order to get their hands on a quarterback. That's the only way that I would see Seattle dealing out of that fifth spot. Now, Seattle with their two picks could go early, quarterback early in this draft, rather. But even if Seattle were to take a quarterback, just speaking hypothetically here, it's a scenario where they don't have to rush him along because guess what? You've got Geno Smith under contract for the next 3 years. They like Geno Smith. He's been in their building for some time now, and obviously he's going to be their quarterback at least for the next couple of years. But just saying, if Seattle were to go quarterback there, you can take your time in developing that young man. You don't have to rush him out there like some teams do when they take a quarterback early. Now, yes, the Seahawks have been busy on the defensive side of the football so far this offseason, but still, they need as many athletes as possible in order to get ahead of the Niners. And you look at the bevy of athletes that the 49ers have, and that's what you got to find a way to do. You got to find a way to get ahead of San Francisco. Now, with that said, I doubt that Will Anderson Jr. will be there at number 5 when Seattle picks. He's the best athlete available in this draft, in my opinion. But if he were to be available, I think Seattle would be all over him just like that. That might be the quickest time as far as, you moving on from one selection in the draft to the team to the next team submitting their card for a player. That's just, again, hypothetically speaking, because I think Will Anderson will be gone by then, excuse me. But I still do expect Seattle to take a defensive player in the first round, especially in their front seven. Jalen Carter could be a possibility. Lucas Van Ness, the defensive end outside linebacker out of Iowa. Nolan Smith out of Georgia. Miles Murphy, the edge rusher out of Clemson, possibly later in round one with that second first round pick that you have. Also, a BJ Ojolari, maybe late first round, early second round pick, the linebacker from LSU. I could also see early on in this draft, maybe not in round number one, but maybe rounds 2 and 3, Seattle continue to beef up their offensive line. We saw them, do pretty good last year in taking Charles Cross, the offensive tackle out of Mississippi State. Now maybe it might be the time for Seattle to begin working on that interior line. Again, You got to go out there and get past San Francisco. What does San Francisco do that's so good? They rush the passer. So in doing so, you got to beef up your offensive line. Of course, another question is going to be: could Seattle be swayed to trade down in order to get more picks? Everything is on the table, and it's one of those. Of course, we know all of the GMs and executives around the league are going to be working that phone during the draft, trying to get sweet deals. Listen, John Snyder and Pete Carroll, they're no dummies. They've been doing this for a very long time, and it's going to be something, obviously, the only way that they'll be swayed to make a deal is if it's something that they feel is beneficial for this franchise going forward. But nonetheless, Seattle, at least right now, has 10 picks. Maybe they move. Maybe they use some of those picks to move up at some point. We don't know. Everything is definitely on the table for the Seahawks in this draft. But if done properly, I feel that this draft could set the Seahawks up to be the team to beat in the NFC West for the coming years. I say that because you look at San Francisco, they really don't have a lot of picks this year, not that much cap flexibility, and that's to be expected when you have so many stars on your team that you got to go out there and take care of. The Arizona Cardinals are breaking in a new coach, while we got to wait and see how and when Kyler Murray will bounce back from that knee injury. The Los Angeles Rams are looking to retool, and they got a veteran group, and they've also got a lot of questions as far as the health of some of their older players, such as quarterback Matthew Stafford. Not to mention, the Rams really don't have a lot of picks in their own, as basically being all in for that Super Bowl push has finally caught up to this team. So if you're Seattle, you are sitting in the catbird seat right now as far as having an opportunity to hit a home run. I know MLB just started, but hitting a home run at this NFL draft. And the thing about it with Pete Carroll and John Schneider, they've done a good job, in my opinion, over the years, collectively, as far as drafting and developing their players. You go back to that Super Bowl championship team from about a decade ago, a lot of that was done through drafting by the Seahawks. A lot of that was done by what they could get done off of round three and back. And that's where you find your depth. That's where you fill out your roster. And that comes down to scouting, talent evaluation, and the ability to develop that talent. We saw some of the Seahawks' young talent come to the forefront last year as they made the playoffs with the likes of young cornerback Kobe Bryant on the defensive side of the ball, just to name one player. We also saw Kenneth Walker, the running back out of Michigan State, have a big time impact for the Seahawks team last year as well. So, with that said, I think Seattle is primed and poised to make something happen at this draft. Pete Carroll and John Schneider, they've been at this for a while. They know what they're doing, and they'll figure it out, and they'll get the best deals done for this franchise. So at the end of the day, I think everything is on the table for Seattle heading into the draft, but they have a golden opportunity to take care of things. And if Seattle does what they're supposed to do in this draft, look out for them as far as being a dominating force in the NFC West for the next couple of years. But again, draft picks are only draft picks unless you know what you're doing with them. So let's see if the Seahawks are able to take care of their business a couple of weeks from now at the NFL draft. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.